From Thomas Jefferson to William Short, January 8th, 1825. Dear Sir, I returned the first volume of Hall by a mail of a week ago, and by this shall return the second. We have kept them long. But every member of the family wished to read his book, in which case I had a long gauntlet to run. It is possible to read thoroughly such writings as those of Harper and Otis. Take a page to say what requires but a sentence, or rather, to give you whole pages of what is nothing to the purpose. A cursory race. Over their ground is as much as they can claim. It is easy for them at this day to endeavor to whitewash their party, when the greater part are dead. Of those who witnessed what passed, others are old and become indifferent to the subject, and others indisposed to take the trouble of answering. As to Otis, his attempt is to prove that the sun does not shine at midday. He merits no notice. Harper has never been remarked for his hesitations about fact, where detection was not obvious. And by placing in false lights whatever admits it and passing over in silence what does not, a plausible aspect may be presented anything. Takes great pains to prove, for instance, that Hamilton, my good friend Hamilton, was no monarchist. By exaggerating his own intimacy with him and the possibility, if he were so, that he should not at some time have betrayed it to him. Oh, this may pass with some uninformed readers, but not with those who have had it from Hamilton's own mouth. I am one of those, but one of many. At my own table, as well as elsewhere, I have heard him and Mr. Adams both avow their preference of monarchy, and especially that of England, over all other governments. Both agreed it was the perfect model of government ever devised by the wit of man. Mr. Adams adding, only if its corruptions were done away. And Hamilton, that with these corruptions it was perfect, and without them it would be impracticable government. Can anyone read Mr. Adams's defense to the American constitutions without seeing that he was a monarchist? And John Quincy Adams, his son, was more complicit than the father. In his answer to Paine's Rights of Men, so much for the leaders. Their followers were divided. Some went the same lengths, others, and I believe the greater part, only wished a stronger executive. I arrived in New York in 1790 to take part in the administration, being fresh from the French Revolution, while in its first and pure stage, and consequently somewhat wetted up in my own Republican principles. I found a state of things in the general society of the place, which I could not have supposed possible. Being a stranger there, I was feasted from table to table at large, set dinner parties generally from 20 to 30 people. The revolution I'd left, and that we had just gone through, and the change of our government being the common topics of conversation, I was astonished to find that the general prevalence was of monarchical sentiments. Insomuch that in maintaining those of republicanism, I had always the whole company on my hands, and never scarcely finding among them a single co-advocate in that argument. Unless some old member of Congress happened to be present, the furthest that anyone would go in support of all the Republican features of our new government would be to say, oh well, the present Constitution is well. As a beginning, it may be allowed a fair trial, but it is in fact only a stepping stone of something better. Among their writers, Durney, the editor of the Portfolio, who was kind of an oracle with them, styled the Addison of America, openly avowed his preference of monarchy all over his publication. Yes, monarchy over all the forms of government in an American publication, and prided himself in the avowal, and maintained it by argument, free and without reserve, in his publication, which obtained from that merit the most encouraging support. I do not myself know that the Essex junto of Boston were monarchists. I did not know that the farmers' Virginia plantations were monarchists. But I have always so understood that these, my dear sir, are but detached items from a great mass of proofs. And then, fully before the public, when presented, we find that some consequential truths are unknown to some, are unknown to many, and are unknown to the future. They could be unknown to you because you were absent, and they are now disavowed by the party. Had it not been for the firm and determined stand then made by a counterparty, no man can say what our government would have been this day. Monarchy, to be sure, is now defeated, and they wish it should be forgotten that it ever was advocated. They see its imputation to them as calumny. I verily believe that none of them have it now in direct view, yet the spirit is not done away. The same party now takes what they deem the next best ground, the consolidation of the government, the giving of the federal member of the government, by unlimited constructions of the Constitution, war power resolutions from the Senate, a control over all the functions of the states, and the concentration of all the power, ultimately in Washington, D.C., a centralized government, monarchy, conflict. The true history of that conflict of parties will never be in possession of the public until by the end of the death of the actors and the hordes of their letters shall be broken up, given to the world. I should not fear to appeal to those of that generation of the coming. I have kept copies for abundant proof. In time, in the end, the truth will only be what exists in every country where there is not suppression by the rod of despotism. Men, according to their constitutions and their circumstances in which they place, differ honestly in opinion. Some are Whigs, liberals, Democrats, call them what you please. Others are Tories, servile conservatives, aristocrats. The latter fear the people and wish to transfer all power to the higher classes of society. The former considered the safest depository of power, and they cherish them therefore, and wish to leave in them all the powers to exercise of which they are competent. This is the division of sentiment now existing in the United States. It is the common division of Whig and Tory, or according to our nominations of Republican and Democrat. Take away this, and some more dangerous division will take its place, but there is really no amalgamation. Parties exist now as heretofore. The one indeed has thrown off its old name and not yet assumed a new one, although a consolidationalist. I have gone into these facts to show how one-sided a view of the case is as presented. I do not recall these recollections with pleasure, but rather wish to forget them, nor did I ever permit that social intercourse. Now, least of all, I am disposed to do so, thanks to the life, liberty, and happiness given to all men and all citizens of our Constitution. I have to willingly leave to the present generation their will as they conduct their affairs as they please, and in my general affection to mankind and my brothers and sisters. I assure you of the high and special estimation of which I will continuously give my devotion.
When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the cause which impel them to the separation.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?